session before lunch and in English, so hang in there. So I'm Corrin, I'm a data product manager, and today I'm going to tell you about my journey of creating a data platform. And you may think I already have a data platform today, but next time you may not have one. So hopefully you'll have fun today. So a little bit about me. I'm a product manager, data product manager in the past few years. I've been in tech for a while. I've done various things, data analysis, QA team lead, but I've been in product for a long, long time. Outside work, I have a husband in tech. I have 2 daughters and a dog, and we live in London. So today we're going to talk about 3 things. We're going to cover the journey that I had of creating a data platform. We're going to talk about how to start smart. So how do you start something that's so big in an easy way or a smart way? And how do you get buy-in from management? So it's extremely important when you start something so big to get buy-in. How do you do that? So I'm going to take you back a few years. I just started working for a B2B company, pretty big, loads of enterprise customers, and the CPO calls me in. I was 2 weeks into the company, and he says, can you try to find out what's going on with our data? I think there's a problem. I'm not sure. And you have a background in data analysis. Can you find out and come back and tell me what's going on? And I said, sure, that sounds interesting enough. I talked to a lot of people. I deep dive into our product architecture, and this is what I found. So we have a pretty big product. It has dozens of services. Each service has its own operational database, and it has multiple Kafka topics. We have another service that collects from a handful of these topics and puts it onto S3. And then we have an ETL process that takes it, pushes it into a Redshift database, and on top of that, we have a few dashboards that we provide to our customers. It doesn't show a lot of data, and we're in that process of trying to migrate from Periscope to Sisense at the time. There's no data team. There's one team that kind of maintains this on the side, and this is all we have. So I look at that, and I realize that there's so many questions we cannot answer. Questions like, what is the value that we provide to our customers? So you're in front of a renewal with a customer. How do you show them what you've given them in the past 3 years? We had no way to show that. How much custom work is our professional services doing? We had no idea. What is the usage pattern? So how are customers actually using our product? We were completely blind to that. And do we have a good pricing model? We were we're working with enterprise customers, and we had fixed price contracts. But is that good? Is that bad? We had no idea. So I'm a product manager. I put everything in a presentation, and I talk to the CPO and I demonstrate all my findings. And then he says, that's really cool. Go build it. But I'm a product manager. There's no dev team for data. I don't know how to start. So I form the data force. And the data force is essentially a task force, but it's comprised of data folks in the company. So people that have been working in various teams, and some in DevOps, some in development, but they had background as data engineers. And I go to their manager and I ask for like 10 to 20% of their time. And they agree. Everybody understood how important this is. And they gave me a little bit of their time. So we need to start somewhere. And there's a tendency of saying, well, we have all of these Kafka topics. Let's bring them all in, because there's retention policies, right? So we're losing data, sometimes 24 hours, sometimes less, sometimes more. But I'm a PM, and when someone says, bring everything in, an alarm goes off in my head. And I said, no, okay, we need to find a really cool thing to start with, something that everybody needs. What's the best use case that we can do and showcase this value to the company? And at the time, the company was trying to move towards a consumption-based model. So we were trying to change our contracts to you pay for how much data you stream within the product. But we didn't know how much data is being streamed within the product. And that seemed like a pretty cool use case. Everybody wanted to change the business model. Customers wanted it. The company wanted it. And we decided that this is a really cool use case that we can go with. So how do you start? I decided that we go with the leanest infrastructure possible. So managed products that we knew, something extremely simple just to showcase that MVP. We're not going to build something completely fancy as we start this. We target only the topics that were related to this specific use case that we wanted to do, nothing more. So 2 to 3 Kafka topics that were relevant for us, that's the thing that we started with. And I wanted to make sure that we show a very clear output, so a dashboard or something that we can visualize what we did in a really cool way. I had a vision of creating a self-service platform for our developers, something extremely nice that they can do, and then they can push data on their own, but we weren't there. We were just starting out. So when you visualize something and you want to showcase something to management, you don't want to go with like a spreadsheet or an SQL query. I wanted to go with something really, really cool. And we ended up creating a really nice dashboard that our customers used, finance used, and everybody in management were able to showcase this. So we go on a meeting with management and we show them our everything that we did kind of quickly-ish. And everybody's really excited. We have this data. We can change our business model now. And this is where I go, OK, now give me a dev team, a full dev team. Show me the money. And I did. I got a dev team. So to start with, I got my data force, and they moved to be full-time. But as the time went on, we became a big data platform. OK, one note on what do you do when you need to do something that's so big and daunting. So you do everything that you need to do. I'm a PM, but if I needed to create a data model, I did. If I needed to create a dashboard, I did. I did everything that needed to be done, and so is the rest of the team. So everybody did whatever they needed to do to make sure that we get that buy-in, that management could give us the ability to create the data platform that we actually wanted to create. OK, so we had the MVP, but now what? So the first thing is you prioritize the next use case, right? As we did the first time. What's the most important thing for the company to do? What's most important for customers to see, for product managers to see? Let's find the next use case. We also needed to educate the dev team because people were not data-oriented, and we needed to explain to them, when you create a new development, you need to have data in mind. You need to make sure that we can analyze that later on. Build your Kafka topics, build your schemas in a way that we can look at it afterwards. But during all of this journey, you need to have that vision in mind. And we updated the vision a few times, but you need to make sure that that vision is communicated throughout all of your journey, so everybody knows where you're going to get to. I'm going to take a minute to talk about our tech stack evolution. We wanted to run really quickly. We started with Absolver to create our pipelines, and then we used Databricks because we already had a team in the company that were using them. And then we used Sisense because, again, we were using Sisense already. We had a little bit of a challenge with Databricks at the time because the team that were working with it, they knew Spark, but we wanted to move to a self-service model. And so we did end up moving into Snowflake. I'm telling you this so you'll know that you don't have to make a decision to start with, like a perfect decision. You need to start with something, and then if you need to evolve and you need to make that change, you can just do that. You don't need to be scared of making that change later on. After I did that journey, I was talking to a lot of PMs and people in data, and I realized that in a lot of B2B companies, when you chase big customers, you sometimes neglect data. And the company I started working for, they were in the market for a while, but still they did not have data or enough data. And it's really important to stop and say, now is a good time to start collecting the data that we need. It's never too late, even if you have 100 enterprise customers, it's never too late, and you need to start somewhere. And it's extremely important to do that so you do understand what's going on within your company. And obviously, you need that data for AI, right? You need context. OK, so I wouldn't be a product manager if I didn't tell you about some KPIs that we had. So let's talk about what the data enabled. The first thing is we were able to analyze product usage. So we were able to understand how customers are using the product, and it transformed the way we create our roadmaps and create everything that we need to around the product. We became a true data-driven company. So I know everybody says that, but we were able to make decisions with the data that we had. We were also able to validate the new business model that we moved to. So most of our contracts became consumption-based contracts because that's what customers actually needed. And we created a shitload of AI agents that we were able to use after that because we had the data for it. Okay, so key takeaways from this presentation. You need to start small, but think big. So always have that vision in mind. Think about where you want to get to. You want to do self-service, that's great. You want to do data mesh, that's great. You need to think about where you need to go. But you need to start really small. So take the first use case and then run with it. And don't be afraid to make changes later on. The second thing is visualize everything. People are not going to rely on SQL queries. They're not going to rely on spreadsheets. They need to see it in the coolest way possible in order to allow you to make that change. And the last thing is get really scrappy. So just do everything you need to do in order to make sure that you get to that finish line and you get that buy-in from management. That's it. Thank you.